Hello and welcome to part 4 of my Dragon Wars video walkthrough for the Apple II. In this video I will work through Tar's Ruins and the small dungeon below it. When making these videos I ran ahead and finished part 9 before I added the audio here, and it made me realize something I just posted in the auxiliary video about allocating party stat points. If you're just watching along, don't worry, but if you're not, I will tell you what is worth improving and how to get a few levels if you need them at this stage. There's a simple way that works well even without the Druid Magic exploit. Also, I have provided a link to my guide at GameFAQs and the TARS maps. Okay, so we're just checking out the experience I have to start. It is 2773 for Frazier, who has the least one. It doesn't matter whom we track, but we'll keep tabs on that to see how many experience points per minute we get. First thing to remember is you always got to beat the bridge guards. They can be tricky, so you want to save either before or after them. The rats, there will be anywhere from 1 to 19 of them. If there are 4 or so, you definitely want to just attack them. But if not, you want to use Inferno on them. Inferno is not available until you beat Nurgle, so this strategy really isn't available until you beat him. You can use Fire Blast until then, and it works about the same, actually. And what I'm doing here is I'm just holding down the escape key. I'm also running the emulator fast. Okay, here I'm just going to use Inferno for 2 points. And it does help to give Frazier a bit more dexterity so that he attacks first and the rats don't run away. I get him up to 20. So there is a problem there. You may need to sacrifice points to get into level gaining mode to get more points. If that's your goal, to get more points, then maybe that's not so great. You're kind of defeating the purpose by speeding things up. But things do go pretty quickly here, and you can also speed things up by giving Frazier more spell points. But it only speeds up so much because it's actually really easy to go back and forth. And you can see we're just getting him to cast spells, and I kind of got impatient there and checked the stats. To look ahead, Frazier's going to get to 10 and 1090, which is a delta of 2817 experience before he runs out of spell points, and that is about 800 spell points per minute. This doesn't take into account going back and forth to the slave camp campfire, which will recharge us, but that actually doesn't take very long. The number of rats, actually, if it's at 6, maybe even, you can attack them. They are going to run away, and you can win quickly against just a few. It's when they get to 10 or above, you clearly want to hit them with Inferno. And also you can make things go quicker if you have 2 people with Sun Magic, but it's not really worthwhile to make 2 people with Sun Magic. At least not the way I play, because everybody else has Druid Magic and so forth. Okay, Frazier's out of spell points. Again, we check, and I did the math before, and now what we're going to do is we can have Diane cast Big Chill, and we can have everyone else cast 2 Fire Blast spells. Diane gets 2 of them since she has 30 spell points. The other guys have 24 spell points. Fire Blast is 12. So this is all pretty unsubtle. We might as well have everyone who can attack except for the one person casting spells. And because we used the Irkalla and the Beast Horn cheat extensively, everybody has Druid spells, so that's 10, well actually 12 counting Diane's 2 Big Chills, which Well, we could also use Fire Blast for them. Maybe even Poog's Vortex. I didn't check. That might give another. I think it's 11 magic points, so she'd have to bump up to 34. But Frazier at 32 spell points gets 16. The other guys get 13, so you can see he's the real heavy hitter here because Inferno is a really powerful spell. But that's not to say that the other guys aren't too bad. We're going to wind up getting 2,500 experience from 3 minutes of play, which is, again, about 800 per minute. Well, in this case, it's 833. We can figure that exactly. And in fact, it's slightly faster. It's kind of on the knife edge, which is 2817 over 326, or 2,500 over, well, just under 3 minutes. You're just having someone cast a spell and it'll wipe out all the rats. And that's all that's going on here. And even if the stuff is going by too fast, you're seeing that the spell bars, the blue spell bars, are getting chopped off. And once they're gone, we're going to go to the camp and we're going to see how long that takes. Again, using high emulator speeds and also having at least one disk in place helps a lot. But it's just maybe a second or two saved, so it's not too much. Also, we will note that the time it takes to get there and back from the slave camp campfire is an order of magnitude below the time we spend here. So we spend 85% of our time on fights with Frazier and only actually 92% if we use everyone. So 6:26 is the timestamp I have for starting the trip to the campfire, and getting back to before we fight the guards is around 7 minutes, so we'll call it 30 seconds. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to see how long it takes to get from the recharge pool to the Bridge of Exiles and back via the nexus. And here we just go south until we see the bridge to south, which would lead to Purgatory, and then we go all the way east. And then we just went 3 east, turned right, went all the way south. We can hit K all the time because the K will trigger the nexus to King's Island. And so now we're switching discs, and there is no way to avoid a fight with goblins, which is a big time sink. I realize I could probably have used Fire Blast to take care of a few of them more quickly. Fire Blast isn't really efficient against the 30 goblins, which are a set of 2 sets of 15 goblins, one at 10 feet and one at 60 feet. So you notice my guys are taking damage here, but Sam's going to come up big because I've given him all the best stuff. Still, this is another reason maybe not to choose the Bridge of Exiles. Each fight is worth more, and when it goes quickly, it's great, but if not, you're in trouble. So about 45 seconds to win the combat. Maybe it could drop to 15 to 30. I didn't try. I maybe should have. And I need to get in a fight here to replicate what actually happens, which is fighting the goblins twice, because we need to go on the Bridge of Exiles and back to recharge the 30 goblins. But once we do that, we also recharge the goblins that are blocking the Mystic Wood. So the end result here is that this run is going to take 3 minutes, and it could be cut down a bit, but a small spoiler here, even taking 2 minutes is not great. We do get some experience for these fights, but they're not enough to make up for the lost time. 248, and we don't even get any gold. So it's like having 1.5 fights with the goblins by the Bridge of Exiles, which is 390. So now we're going back. We face north, go north all the way, don't exit, then go west and go 3 squares. And we're in the home stretch now. We just kind of face west, and when we hit the river, we go northwest to the healing square. So here we are going to go to the Bridge of Exiles via the Dwarf Clan Hall. And for that, we go 3 west of the stairs to Purgatory on the bridge, then we go all the way south. We don't need to worry about the hit point damage too much since we have bandage. However, we do need Soften Spell to take this shortcut, Soften Stone rather. We will need it 4 times. Since we've given our druids 24 magic points, we have just enough. 2 spells to get in, 2 spells to get out, and also we have to have used the Jade Eyes. Well, we don't have to have used them. If we have them, we can use them. And we need to remember that the bridge fight is 3 south and 2 west of the Dwarf Clan Hall. I forget this a bit. I wanted to show, okay, we flee or whatever, and then we retreat to the Clan Hall, and we go back down the stairs. And the time for this is going to be 1 minute and 47 seconds, so it is a good deal quicker than the other method, but you do not get experience for it, and also you have to use some spell points from your druid, which is a problem if you haven't restarted a bunch of times to give everybody druid spell points, and you want to max out each time you visit the Bridge of Exiles. Okay, so here is the grand finale of our little video. We start at level 10 and 3969 for Frazier. We get up to 11 and 389, which is 5889, after he casts Inferno 5 times. And you can see that we're walking onto the bridge, finding the new area, and walking back to attack the goblins. So what's going to happen for my data is, after just under 2 minutes, we will get about 1900 experience, and so that is about 950 per minute, but because it ends at 150, that's about 90%, so we're going to bump that up to 1050. We're using rough numbers here, but the problem is we also haven't factored in that it takes 2 minutes to get back and forth. I also tried a few fights. After Frazier loses all his MP for casting 6-point Infernos, we're going to try Fire Blast, but the problem here is that you have to cast 4 of them. Or maybe you can get away with 1 if you attack with your front line, but I don't like it too much. Big Chill is the same thing. It does not do enough damage on its own to one-shot an enemy group. So, given that it takes 2 minutes to get there and back, at the very least, that would knock the 1050 down to 525 per minute, which is way less than the 750 to 800 minute we get with the rats. We are going to be tackling the enemies with Fire Blast now, and what I see is that in about 2.5 minutes, we gain 1200 experience, which is 480, which again falls short of the rats. So we may get experience in quicker boosts, but it is just too far away to be as worthwhile as just good old-fashioned smacking the rats around, which is good news for lower level players, or if you need that level to get that much more skill to tackle Long John Ugly, you can get that level in a pinch, and not worry about there being an even better place. However, this is nice if you are on the King's Isle quests and you have some magic points left over. You can just barrel through these enemies, and you get a bit of extra experience. Why not? The one thing is you don't get gold, so you can't even, say, use a trick of buying a bunch of dragon stones, or you can, but you'll have to recognize that you'd better be getting gold from elsewhere. It becomes a pretty decent value if you have a bunch of dragon stones and you need to get rid of them. Otherwise, you want to go with the rats. So, for whatever reason, I went with another fight or two here. We can see that I'm trying to pick off both using Irkalla in the background and using the fighters to cast Fire Blast. I also need to pay attention to Cliff because he is losing hit points. I neglected using Bandage, and that's another problem with these goblins. They're going to hit you for damage, and if you fall asleep, you might get killed by one, and that takes a lot of time. So I got Cure All in, and everything works, which is great, although I will not be saving my party's progress after this, so the experience doesn't count. That's all there is to this video. Thanks for watching through, and if you enjoyed this enough, giving a like or subscribing if you haven't already goes a long way in encouraging me to share more videos of fun games you may want to revisit or didn't realize you missed. See you next video.